Page 166, Chapter 7, Persuasion, Shutterstock, a Euro Eco Swallow and follow, whether old doctrine or new propaganda, is a weakness still dominating the human mind. A Euro. What paths lead to persuasion? Persuasion. What are the elements of persuasion? How can persuasion be resisted? Concluding thoughts. Being open but not naive, many of life via Euro trademark S powers can either harm or help us. Nuclear power can light up homes or wipe out cities. Sexual power helps us express committed love or seek selfish gratification. Similarly, persuasion in 1/4 S power enables us to promote health or to sell addiction, to advance peace or stir up hate, to enlighten or deceive. And such powers are great. Consider the following: the spread of false beliefs about 1 in 4 Americans and 1 in 3 Europeans think the sun revolves around the earth. Grossman, 2014. Others deny that the moon landing or the Holocaust occurred. In a March 2020 poll, 1 out of 3 U.S. adults said they believed that the virus that causes COVID-19 was created in a lab. A Euro. Despite considerable evidence that the virus arose naturally. Shopper, 2020. Attitudes around equality. In the space of 50 years, the United States went from a country that asked its black citizens to sit in the back of the bus to one that elected an African American president. A Euro twice. In less than 30 years, it went from having 12% of adults believing that 2 people of the same sex should be able to get married to 68% supporting same-sex marriage. Twin and Blake, 2020. Civil rights campaigns, news stories, and positive media portrayals of racial minorities and LGBT individuals have been powerful persuaders. Climate change skepticism, the scientific community, represented by various national academies of science and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is in a virtual consensus that climate change will cause sea levels to rise and weather to become more extreme. Nevertheless, climate skepticism had 48% of Americans in 2010 believing that reports were a Euro generally exaggerate the Euro. Dugan, 2014. With more persuasive messages in the years since, climate skepticism has fallen to 35%. SOT, 2019. See also Figure 1. Figure 1. Percentage of American adults who worry about global warming, 1997 to 2019. Gallup data reported by SOT, 2019. Persuasion, the process by which a message induces change in beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors. A Euro. Speech has power. Words do not fade. What starts out as a sound ends in a deed. A Euro. Rabbi Abraham Heschel, 1907. A Euro. 1972. Page 167. As these examples show, efforts to persuade are sometimes diabolical, sometimes controversial, and sometimes beneficial. Persuasion is neither inherently good nor bad. Instead, a message a Euro trademark has purpose and content elicit judgments of good or bad. The bad we call a Euro or propaganda. A Euro. The good we call a Euro or education. A Euro. Education is more factually based and less coercive than propaganda. Yet generally we call it a Euro or education. A Euro when we believe it. A Euro or propaganda. A Euro when we don't. A Euro trademark. T. Lumsden et al. 1980. Persuasion is at the heart of politics, marketing, dating, parenting, negotiation, religion, and courtroom decision-making. And played a key role in shaping behavior during the COVID-19 pandemic. See or at Inside Story. Stephen Riker on human behavior during the pandemic. A social psychologist advises his country. Social psychologists, therefore, seek to understand what leads to effective, long-lasting attitude change. What factors affect persuasion? As persuaders, how can we most effectively or educate others? Persuasion is everywhere. When we approve of it, we may call it or education. Mick Sinclair / Alamy stock photo page 168. The Inside Story. Stephen Riker on human behavior during the pandemic. A social psychologist advises his country. I began advising the UK and Scottish governments on COVID-19 through my work with John Drury on how crowds behave in emergencies. I had long been skeptical of considering people in groups to be irrational and fragile. All rushing for the exits, blocking them, and thereby turning a crisis into a tragedy. Studies of disasters show the opposite. People generally help each other in a crisis. When people face the same dangers together, they develop a shared identity, which leads to empathy, mutual support, and collective resilience. Through this work, John and I have been involved in various government groups looking at public behavior after a terrorist attack and were then invited to join the UK and Scotland Trademark behavioral science advisory groups on COVID-19. We advised our governments on how to build and maintain collective resilience. We also provided psychological insights into human behavior under the pandemic, the importance of social norms, the ways to achieve social influence, the nature of leadership, how to build trust, and what leads to compliance with regulations, rules, and laws. For instance, we have stressed the importance of delivering messages from respected in-group sources. We have also discussed how to frame them so as to draw on group norms. E.G. We are Scotland. We stick at things and see them through It has been exhausting. I am used to writing papers in weeks or even months. Government ministers generally want them in days, or even hours. But it has also been rewarding. I used to say that until we get a vaccine, changing behavior will be at the very heart of the pandemic response. Then it became clear that, even with a vaccine, understanding behavior is critical. For one thing, to convince people to be vaccinated. Never, in my 40 years as an academic, have I seen psychological research and psychological ideas so central to public discourse and to government policy. Stephen Riker, University of St. Andrews. Courtesy of Stephen Riker. Imagine that you are a marketing or advertising executive. Or imagine that you are a preacher, trying to increase love and charity among your parishioners. Or imagine that you want to reduce climate change, encourage breastfeeding, or campaign for a political candidate. What can you do to make yourself and your message persuasive? And if you are wary of being influenced, to what tactics should you be alert? What paths lead to persuasion? Describe the cognitive processing involved in the two paths to persuasion and the effects of that processing. Persuasion entails clearing several hurdles. See Figure 2. Any factors that help people clear the persuasion hurdles will increase persuasion. For example, if an attractive source increases your attention to a message, the message will have a better chance of persuading you. Figure 2. The hurdles of the persuasion process. To elicit action, a persuasive message must clear several hurdles. Remembering the message itself is not as important as remembering only trademark's own thoughts in response. Source, adapted from McGuire, W. J. 1978. A OEA fanatic is one who can trademark T change his mind and one trademark T change the subject. Attributed to Winston Churchill, 1874. 1965. The Central Route Richard Petty and John Cacioppo, 1986. Petty et al., 2009. And Alice Eagley and Shelley Chaikin, 1993, 1998, took the idea of persuasion routes one step further. They theorized that persuasion is likely to occur by one of two routes. When people are motivated and able to think about an issue, they are likely to take the central route to persuasion focusing on the arguments. If those arguments are strong and compelling, persuasion is likely. If the message offers only weak arguments, thoughtful people will notice that the arguments are in a trademark very compelling and will counter-argue against them. Central route to persuasion occurs when interested people focus on the arguments and respond with favorable thoughts. Page 169, the peripheral route or effective propaganda must be limited to a very few points and must harp on these in slogans until the last member of the public understands Adolf Hitler, Mein Kampf, 1926. However, when we trademark we're not motivated or able to think carefully, the strength of the arguments might not matter. If we trademark we're distracted, uninvolved, or just plain busy, we may not take the time to reflect on the message trademark's content. Rather than analyzing whether the arguments are compelling, we might follow the peripheral route to persuasion focusing on cues that trigger automatic acceptance without much thinking. In these situations, easily understood, familiar statements are more persuasive than novel statements with the same meaning. Thus, for uninvolved or distracted people, trademark put all your eggs in one basket. Has more impact than trademark risk everything on a single venture. Howard, 1997. Peripheral route to persuasion occurs when people are influenced by incidental cues, such as a speaker trademark's attractiveness. Smart advertisers adapt ads to their consumers' trademark thinking. They do so for good reason. Many consumer decisions such as a spontaneous decision to buy ice cream of a particular brand are made without thinking. Sturtless et al., 2005. Hearing German music in a store may lead customers to buy German wine, and those hearing French music may reach for French wine. North et al., 1997. Billboards and television commercials media that consumers are able to take in for only brief amounts of time often use the peripheral route, with visual images as peripheral cues. Instead of providing arguments in favor of smoking, cigarette ads associate the product with images of beauty and pleasure. So do soft drink ads that show happy people and fun outdoor activities. Although this model of central versus peripheral routes was developed before the internet existed, similar dynamics occurred in online contexts, with many ads using eye-catching images. Sir et al., 2018. These two routes to persuasion one explicit and reflective, the other more implicit and automatic were a forerunner to today trademark as visual processing models of the human mind. Central route processing often swiftly changes explicit attitudes. Peripheral route processing more slowly builds implicit attitudes through repeated associations between an attitude and an emotion. Jones et al., 2009. Petty and Bria plus or minus al., 2008. Walther et al., 2011. Peripheral route processing. Product placements on TV and in movies aim to influence implicit attitudes. Feature Flash Photo Agency / Shutterstock, page 170. Different paths for different purposes. The ultimate goal of the advertiser, the preacher, and even the teacher is not just to have people pay attention to the message and move on. Typically, the goal is behavior change, buying a product, loving owning trademark as neighbor, or studying more effectively. Are the two routes to persuasion equally likely to fulfill that goal? Petty and colleagues, 1995-2009, noted that central route Processing can lead to more enduring change than the peripheral route. When people are thinking carefully, they rely not only on the strength of persuasive appeals but on their own thoughts in response. The Euro trademark has not so much the arguments that are persuasive as the way they get people thinking. And when people think deeply rather than superficially, any change attitude will more likely persist, resist attack, and influence behavior. Petty et al. 1995, 2009, Verplanken, 1991. Decisions in the voting booth. When careful central route processing takes too much time and effort, we may rely on peripheral route processing to make a quick judgment. Hill Street Studios /Blend Images LLC /Flow Images. Deep thinking often involves moral beliefs, as many political beliefs do. In such cases, using arguments based on your audience a Euro trademark has moral convictions is one of the best ways to persuade. Luttrell et al. 2019. Yet those on opposite sides of the political spectrum often find it difficult, if not impossible, to view things from the other side. A Euro trademark has moral perspective. When asked to convince conservatives to support same-sex marriage, for example, only 9% of liberals were able to frame their arguments using conservative moral principles such as loyalty and purity. A Euro, even though these were the arguments that best convinced conservatives. Feinberg and Willer, 2015, 2019. None of us has the time to thoughtfully analyze all issues. We often take the peripheral route by using simple rule of thumb heuristics, such as a Euro or trust the experts a Euro or a Euro elon. Messages are credited a Euro. Chaikin and Maheswaran, 1994. Residents of my DMA Euro trademark S community once voted on a complicated issue involving the legal ownership of our local hospital. I didn't a Euro trademark T have the time or the interest to study that question myself. I had this book to write. But I noted that referendum supporters were all people I either liked or regarded as experts. So I used a simple heuristic a Euro. Friends and experts can be trusted a Euro and voted accordingly. We all make snap judgments using such heuristics. If a speaker is articulate and appealing, has apparently good motives, and has several arguments, or better, if the different arguments come from different sources, we usually take the easy peripheral route and accept the message without much thought. Central route appeals seem to have dwindled in the last decade, most likely because advertisers have found that peripheral, emotion-based appeals are more effective across a variety of products. In one study, researchers recorded viewers on Euro trademark facial expressions while they watched recent TV commercials. These facial expressions a Euro, particularly those indicating happiness a Euro, were better predictors of product sales than viewers on Euro trademark survey responses about how persuasive they found the ad, how closely the ad was linked to the brand, or how the ad conveyed the brand a Euro trademark S key. Message, Wood, 2012. Emotion, not reason, sold the goods. Summing up, what paths lead to persuasion? Sometimes persuasion occurs as people focus on arguments and respond with favorable thoughts. Such systematic, or central route, persuasion. Persuasion occurs when people are naturally analytical or involved in the issue. When issues don't a Euro trademark T. Engage systematic thinking, persuasion may occur through a faster, peripheral route as people use heuristics. Heuristics or incidental cues to make snap judgments. Central route persuasion, being more thoughtful and less superficial, is more durable and more likely to influence behavior. Page 171. What are the elements of persuasion? Explain the elements that influence whether we will take the central or the peripheral route to persuasion. Among the elements of persuasion explored by social psychologists are these four. 1. The communicator. 2. The message. 3. How the message is communicated. And 4. The audience. In other words, who says what, By what method? To whom? Who says? The communicator Ida Euro trademark S about a month before an election, and while Euro trademark retrying to decide how to vote on a proposed tax on carbon emissions, a policy designed to combat climate change. While Euro trademark BEC ads vote for and against the measure, and while Euro trademark re not sure how to vote. Then you see a statement of support from someone from your political party a Euro or someone from the other party. How will you vote? This was the choice presented to Democrats and Republicans in an experiment based on a real 2016 ballot measure in Washington state. Regardless of the specifics of the measure, Democrats approved of policies supported by other Democrats, and Republicans approved of policies supported by other Republicans. Even though climate policies are often associated with Democrats, Republicans supported them when they were endorsed by other Republicans a Euro but not when they were touted by Democrats. As former Republican Congressman Bob Inglis put it about his time in Congress, a Euro all I knew was that Al Gore, a Democrat, was for it, and therefore I was against Ida Euro, Van Boven et al., 2018. Similar examples abound. In one experiment, when participants heard socialist and liberal leaders in the Dutch parliament argue identical positions using the same words, each was most effective at convincing members of his own party. Weekman, 1985. After the New Zealand Prime Minister championed changing the country Euro trademark S flag in 2016, voters in his party became more supportive of the change, while those in the other party became less supportive. In other words, a Euro or if they say a Euro yes, a Euro trademark a Euro we say a Euro no a Euro trademark a Euro. Satherley et al., 2018. Republicans told that Donald Trump endorsed universal health care were more likely to support the idea than when told it was Barack Obama Euro trademark S idea. Similarly, Democrats were less likely to support universal health care when told it was Trump a Euro trademark S idea. Edwards Levy, 2015. Wearing masks to help prevent the spread of COVID-19 was at first blandly apolitical, but after some politicians spoke out for or against masks, they became politicized. Aratini, 2020. In other words, Ida Euro trademark S. Not just the message that matters, but also who says it. As Obama argued, a Euro or if I proposed something that was literally word for word in the Republican Party platform, it would be immediately opposed by 80% to 90% of the Republican voters a Euro and ditto for Democratic voters a Euro trademark response to a Republican proposal. So, what makes one communicator more persuasive than another? Credibility, believability. A credible communicator is perceived as both expert and trustworthy. Any of us would find a statement about the benefits of exercise more believable if it came from the Royal Society or National Academy of Sciences rather than from a tabloid newspaper. But the effects of source credibility, perceived expertise and trustworthiness diminish after a month or so. If a credible persona Euro trademark S message is persuasive, its impact may fade as its source is forgotten or dissociated from the message. And the impact of a non-credible person may correspondingly increase over time if people remember the message better than the reason for discounting it. Cumcale and Algarrison, 2004. Pratt-Canis et al., 1988. This delayed persuasion, after people forget the source or its connection with the message, is called the sleeper effect. Is this politician a Republican or Democrat? That might heavily influence whether you believe him. Hill Street Studios /Blend Images LLC /Glow Images Sleeper effect. A delayed impact of a message that occurs when an initially discounted message becomes effective, such as we remember the message but forget the reason for discounting it. Page 172. Perceived expertise. How do you become it? Authoritative a Euro or any expert a Euro? One way is to be seen as knowledgeable on the topic. A message about toothbrushing from a Euro or editor. James Rundle of the Canadian Dental Association. A euro is more convincing than the same message from a euro. Jim Rundle, a local high school student who did a project with some of his classmates on dental hygiene. Euro, Olson and Cal, 1984. Celebrity communicators are more persuasive when they are perceived as expert users of the product. When they are not, these appeals are ineffective. Rossiter and Smits, 2012. Some television ads are obviously constructed to make the communicator appear expert. A drug company may peddle its pain reliever using a speaker in a white lab coat who declares confidently that most doctors recommend the Producta Euro trademark S key ingredient, which is merely aspirin. Given such peripheral cues, people may automatically infer that the product is special. Imagine being in charge of patient safety at a large hospital. Euro trademark BE put hand sanitizing stations in the lobby, but very few visitors use them. How can you change their behavior? When Suzanne Gabi and her Regensburg University, Germany, colleagues designed 7 signs encouraging hand sanitizing, the most effective sign emphasized expertise. It was a picture of the Hospitala Euro trademark S medical director, looking somewhat stern, with the message saying a euro hand hygiene is of great concern to me. A euro, Gabi et al., 2020. A euro I believe in expert. A euro Virgil, in it. BC19 expertise can also be simulated through agreement. A speaker who says things the audience agrees with comes across as smart. The scientific consensus about climate change may fail to persuade climate change. Climate change deniers because they see the small number of dissenting scientists as more expert. Researchers have observed this. A euro similar views seem more expert. A euro phenomenon on topics ranging from climate change to nuclear waste to gun laws. Catlin et al., 2011. Speaking style. Another way to appear credible is to speak confidently and fluently. Whether pitching a business plan or giving advice, a charismatic, energetic, confident-seeming person who speaks fluently, without saying a euro I you know or a euro oh ha euro, is often more convincing. Moore and Swift, 2011, Pentland, 2010. Speakers who stumble over their words are perceived as less credible, which then leads people to question their message, which then makes them less likely to accept what the speaker is saying. Carpenter, 2012. Bonnie Erickson and collaborators, 1978, had University of North Carolina students evaluate courtroom testimony given in a straightforward manner or in a more hesitant, disfluent way. For example, question approximately how long did you stay there before the ambulance arrived? Answer straightforward 20 minutes. Long enough to help get MRS. David straightened out. Hesitating, oh, it seems like it was about 20 minutes. Just long enough to help my friend MRS. David, get straightened out. The students found the straightforward, fluent witnesses much more competent and credible, suggesting that juries can be swayed by how a witness speaks and not just what the witness says. Kaminsky and Sporter, 2018. Think of an ad you liked and found persuasive. Did the speaker use a monotone or speak glumly? Probably not. More than likely, they varied their tone and spoke enthusiastically. People who speak this way are more persuasive, partially because they come across as more confident and sincere. Van Zandt and Berger, 2020. When you read a news article online, how do you decide whether to believe it? It might depend on whether it was shared on social media by a trusted friend. Yakana Jo/Shutterstock in one-on-one communication, though, even your trademark is not good to speak too much and not listen. Telemarketers who take this approach are less successful. The best approach? A balance between talking and listening. Grant, 2013. Perceived trustworthiness. Trustworthiness. We are more willing to listen to a communicator we trust. An experiment by the Media Insight Project, 2017, found that Facebook users were more willing to believe an article shared by a trusted friend compared to one shared by someone they didn't Eurotrademark trust. Surprisingly, who shared the article made a bigger difference than whether the news source was the established, well-respected Associated Press or the made-up eDailyNewsReview.com. This might explain why a fake news spread so quickly on social media sites. Page 173. The same is true for evaluating products. People prefer the product more if the same description came from a consumer protection board rather than a company promoting its product after a recall. Smith et al., 2013. Online reviews of products are seen as more trustworthy if they are negative at least for practical products such as cameras. Hong and Park, 2012. Sen and Lehrman, 2007. Apparently, we Trademark are more willing to believe that negative comments are honest than positive comments. Effective persuaders know how to convey a message effectively. Charles Barsotti. Trustworthiness is also higher if the audience believes the communicator is not trying to persuade them. Researchers showed British adults fake newspaper articles suggesting either that most scientists just want to inform the public about climate change, or that most scientists aim to persuade people to take action to stop climate change. Those who heard scientists aim only to inform were more likely to report more trust in climate scientists and say they would reduce water use or join in community environmental activities. Rabinovich et al., 2012. If you want to persuade someone, start with information, not arguments. Another effective strategy is to have someone else convey your expertise. In one study, customers calling a real estate agency were told, truthfully, Trademark, I'm going to put you through to Peter. He is our head of sales and has 20 years of experience selling properties in this area. Compared to a simple call transfer, 20% more customers came in for in-person meetings and 15% more decided to use the agency. Martin et al., 2014. Is there any way to overcome people Trademark's resistance to communicators they don't Trademark trust? Humor can work. One study told students a supermarket manager who cared only about making money was planning to target them with emails and texts. Not surprisingly, students were resistant to hearing anything from such a distrusted source. But if they then received 15 humorous texts, for example, or there are 10 types of people that understand binary. Those that do and those that don't Trademark their negative views of the distrusted brand disappeared. Strick et al., 2012. Attractiveness and liking. Attractiveness having qualities that appeal to an audience. An appealing communicator, often someone similar to the audience, is most persuasive on matters of subjective preference. Most of us deny that. Endorsements by star athletes and entertainers affect us. We know that stars are seldom knowledgeable about the products they endorse. Besides, we know the intent is to persuade us. We don't Trademark just accidentally eavesdrop on Bianca copyright discussing clothes or fragrances. Such ads are based on another characteristic of an effective communicator: attractiveness. When George Clooney starred in ads for espresso coffee, the coffee was suddenly seen not just as more desirable to drink, but also more sophisticated and seductive. Clooney made espresso coffee seem sexy, on Kelvin and Houghton, 2019. Attractive communicators, such as Leighton Meester endorsing Reebok shoes, often trigger peripheral route persuasion. We associate their message or product with our good feelings toward the communicators. Michael Loxisino/Film Magic/Getty Images. We may think we are not influenced by attractiveness or likability, but researchers have found otherwise. We Trademark are more likely to respond to those we like, a phenomenon well known to those organizing charitable solicitations and candy sales. Sure, Girl Scout cookies are tasty, but a lot fewer people would buy them if they were sold by unattractive middle-aged men instead of cute little girls. Even a fleeting conversation with someone is enough to increase our liking for that person and our responsiveness to his or her influence. Berger et al., 2001. Our liking may open us up to the communicatory Euro trademark S arguments, central root persuasion, or it may trigger positive associations when we see the product later, peripheral root persuasion. As with credibility, the liking begets persuasion principle suggests applications. Table 1. Table 1 7 Persuasion principles in his book Influence, Science and Practice, Persuasion. Researcher Robert Cialdini, 2021, illustrated 7 principles that underlie human relationships and human influence. This chapter describes the first 2. Page 174. Attractiveness comes in several forms. Physical attractiveness is one. Arguments, especially emotional ones, are often more influential when they come from people we consider beautiful. Chaikin, 1979, Dion and Stein, 1978, Polak et al., 1983. Attractiveness and fame often matter most when people are making superficial judgments. Young adults were more persuaded by ads on Instagram for e-cigarettes when the products were endorsed by celebrities compared to non-celebrities. Fwa et al., 2018. Similarity also makes for attractiveness. We tend to like people who are like us. The Euro trademark S1 reason consumer-generated ads €, those generated by regular people instead of ad companies €, can be persuasive. One experiment found that consumer-generated ads were more effective when the ad creator was seen as similar to the participant. Thompson and Malvia, 2013. Some of the most effective ads discouraging teens from smoking and drug use were created by teens themselves. P plus or minus A Alves et al., 2019. People who act as we do, subtly mimicking our postures, are also more influential. Thus, salespeople are sometimes taught to mimic and mirror if the customer trademark S arms or legs are crossed, cross yours. If she smiles, smile back. See research close-up, experimenting with the virtual social reality page 175 research close-up experimenting with the virtual social reality. University of California, Santa Barbara, social psychologist Jim Blaskovich developed a new interest soon after walking into a Collegia trademark S virtual reality lab. Wearing a headset, Blaskovich found himself facing a plank across a virtual deep pit. Although he knew that the room had no pit, he could the trademark T suppress his fear and bring himself to walk the plank. The experience triggered a thought: might social psychologists have a use for virtual environments? The experimental power of virtual human interaction is shown in an experiment by Blaskovich, trademark S former associate, Jeremy Valenson, in collaboration with graduate student Nick Yee. At Stanford University trademark S virtual human interaction lab, 69 student volunteers fitted with a 3D virtual reality headset found themselves across the table from a virtual human a computer-generated man or woman who delivered a 3-minute pitch for a university security policy that required students to carry an ID at all times. The digital person featured realistic-looking lips that moved, eyes that blinked, and a head that swayed. For half the participants, those movements mimicked, with a 4-second delay, the student had trademark S movements. If the student tilted her head and looked up, the digital chameleon would do the same. Earlier experiments with real humans had found that such mimicry fosters liking by suggesting empathy and rapport. In Valenson and Yee trademark S, 2005, experiment, students with a mimicking rather than a non-mimicking digital companion similarly liked the partner more. They also found the mimicker more interesting, honest, and persuasive. They paid better attention to it, looking away less often, and they were somewhat more likely to agree with the message. For Blaskovich and Valensin, 2011, Valensin, 2018, such studies illustrate the potential of virtual social realities. Creating stimuli that imply other Euro trademark presence costs less, requires less effort, and provides more experimental control than creating stimuli with other Euro trademark actual presence. People, even trained accomplices, are difficult to control. Digital people can be perfectly controlled, and exact replications become possible. A participant in Blaskovich and Valensin Euro trademark S research experiences virtual reality. Jeremy Valensin, what is said? The message content, it matters not only who says something but also what that person says. If you were to help organize an appeal to get people to vote for school taxes or to stop smoking or to give money to World Hunger Relief, you might wonder how best to persuade. Is a logical message more persuasive Euro or one that arouses emotion? How should you present your message? Should the message express your side only, or should it acknowledge and refute the opposing views? If people are to present both sides Euro, say, in successive talks at a community meeting or in a political debate Euro, is there an advantage to going first or last? How much information should you include? Lead Euro trademark S. Take these questions one at a time. Reason versus emotion Euro or at truth is always the strongest argument Euro Sophocles, Phaedra, BC 496 Euro 406 Euro or your opinion is ultimately determined by the feelings and not the intellect Euro Herbert. Spencer, Social Statics, 1851 page 176. Suppose you were campaigning in support of World Hunger Relief. Would you best itemize your arguments and cite an array of impressive statistics? Or would you be more effective presenting an emotional approach Euro, perhaps the compelling story of one starving child? Of course, an argument can be both reasonable and emotional. You can marry passion and logic. Still, which is more influential, reason or emotion? Was Shakespeare Euro trademark S. Lysander right? Euro or at will of man is by his reason sway Euro trademark Euro? Or was Lord Chesterfield Euro trademark S. advice wiser? Euro or address yourself generally to the senses, to the heart, and to the weaknesses of mankind, but rarely to their reason Euro? The answer: it depends on the audience. Well-educated or analytical people are responsive to rational appeals. Cacioppo et al., 1983, 1996, Hovland et al., 1949. So are audiences that have the time and motivation to think through an issue. Petty and Bria plus or minus OL, 2015. Thus, thoughtful, involved audiences often travel the central route to persuasion. They are more responsive to reasoned arguments. Uninterested audiences more often travel the peripheral route. They are more affected by their liking of the communicator. Chaikin, 1980, Petty et al., 1981. It also matters how PPA Euro trademark S attitudes were formed. When PPA Euro trademark S initial attitudes are formed primarily through the peripheral route, they are more persuaded by later peripheral, emotional appeals. When their initial attitudes are formed primarily through the central route, they are more persuaded by later information-based, central route arguments. Edwards, 1990, Fabregat and Petty, 1999. For example, many people who distrust vaccines develop their attitudes through the emotion-laden idea that their children might be harmed. Informing them that this attitude was wrong Euro, that vaccines do not harm children Euro, did little to change attitudes. But when they read a mother Euro trademark S emotional story about her unvaccinated child contracting measles and saw pictures of children with the disease, their attitudes toward vaccines became markedly more positive. Horn et al., 2015. New emotions may sway an emotion-based attitude. But to change an information-based attitude, more information may be needed. With emotions high around the COVID-19 pandemic and misinformation spreading, emotional appeals and storytelling will likely be the most effective route to persuade people to get a vaccine against the virus. Cornwall, 2020. The effect of good feelings messages also become more persuasive through association with good feelings, such as what often accompanies munching food or hearing pleasant music. Receiving money or free samples often induces people to donate money or buy something. Cialdini, 2008. That might be why so many charities include address labels, stickers, and even points in their mailings. Good feelings often enhance persuasion, partly by enhancing positive thinking and partly by linking good feelings with the message. Petty et al., 1993. People who are in a good mood view the world through rose-colored glasses. But happy people also make faster, more impulsive decisions. They rely more on peripheral cues. Bodenhausen, 1993, Braverman, 2005, Moons and Mackey, 2007. Unhappy people ruminate more before reacting, so they are less easily swayed by weak arguments. They also produce more cogent persuasive messages. Forgas, 2007. Thus, if you can a Euro trademark team make a strong case, you might want to put your audience in a good mood and hope the Euro trademark LL feel good about your message without thinking too much about it. Sar and Rodriguez, 2019. Attitude matching. To convince parents worried about vaccines to vaccinate their children, an effective strategy is to provide vivid examples, such as the picture above, of unvaccinated children who got sick, using the same peripheral route that formed their initially distrustful attitude. SW Production /Brand X Pictures /Getty Images. Knowing that humor can put people in a good mood, a Dutch research team led by Madeleine Strick et al., 2009, invited people to view ads in the vicinity of either funny cartoons or the same cartoons altered to be unfunny. Their finding: products associated with humor were liked more and chosen more often. Similarly, attitudes about political topics and health behaviors are more likely to change after people view a satirical news show featuring humor, such as The Daily Show, compared to a straight news segment. Feldman and Chatou, 2019. Moyer-Gusa copyright et al., 2018. Page 177. The effect of arousing fear messages can also be effective by evoking negative emotions. When persuading people to cut down on smoking, get a tetanus shot, or drive carefully, a fear-arousing message can be potent. DeHoog et al., 2007, Muller and Johnson, 1990. Young adults who saw warning labels with graphic images of blackened lungs and stained teeth, versus text-only warnings, were more likely to correctly remember the messages. Strasser et al., 2012, experienced more fear, and were less inclined to smoke. Cameron et al., 2015. Most important, 50% more of those who saw the graphic images, versus text only, quit smoking within a month. Brewer et al., 2016. When Australia added graphic images of sick and dying smokers to cigarette packages in 2012, smoking rates fell nearly 5%. Innis, 2014. Dozens of countries around the world, including Canada, Egypt, and Bangladesh, have added graphic, fear-inducing images to cigarette packaging. Cohen, 2016. In 2012, a federal court blocked the graphic warnings from being placed on cigarette packs in the United States. AP, 2012, and as of 2017, U.S. cigarette packs only carry text warnings. But how much fear should you arouse? Should you evoke just a little fear, lest people become so frightened that they tune out your painful message? Or should you try to scare the daylights out of them? Experiments show that, often, the more frightened and vulnerable people feel, the more they respond. WETAL, 2007, Robertson and Rogers, 1988. In a meta-analysis of 127 articles including 27,372 people, Melanie Tannenbaum and her colleagues, 2015, concluded that A-Euro fear appeals are effective. There are no identified circumstances under which they backfire and lead to undesirable outcomes. A-Euro good feelings help create positive attitudes. Frank Cotham. The effectiveness of fear-arousing communications has been applied in ads discouraging not only smoking but also risky sexual behaviors and drinking and driving. When Claude Lévi-Liboeter, 1988, found that French youth drank less alcohol after seeing fear-arousing pictures, the French government incorporated such pictures into its TV spots. Fear-arousing communications have also been used to increase breast cancer detection behaviors, such as getting mammograms or doing breast self-exams. Sarah Banks, Peter Salovey, and colleagues, 1995, had women aged 40 to 66 years who had not obtained mammograms view an educational video on mammography. Of those who received a positively framed message, emphasizing that getting a mammogram can save your life through early detection, only half got a mammogram within 12 months. Of those who received a fear-framed message, emphasizing that not getting a mammogram can cost you your life, 2/3 got a mammogram within 12 months. People who see ultraviolet photographs of sun-damaged faces A-Euro showing all of the freckles and spots destined to appear as they age A-Euro are significantly more likely to use sunscreen. In this case, the intervention focuses not just on the fear of getting cancer but also on the fear of looking unattractive. Williams et al., 2013. Playing on fear works best if a message leads people not only to fear but also to perceive a solution and feel capable of implementing it. Devoscumi and Salovey, 2002. Maddox and Rogers, 1983. Reuter et al., 2001. Many ads designed to reduce sexual risks will aim to both arouse fear A-Euro EADS kills A-Euro and to offer a protective strategy, abstain, wear a condom, or save sex for a committed relationship. These types of appeals tell people not just to be scared, but to do something about it, increasing their sense of efficacy. Reuter et al., 2014. Salomon et al., 2017. A proposed U.S. cigarette warning, shown here, uses fear arousal. In 2012, a federal court blocked the requirement for such warnings. UPI/FDA/Alamy stock photo page 178 appeals can also focus on what can gain by using the preventative product. A-Euro if you wear sunscreen, while Euro trademark LL have attractive Skyna Euro, instead of focusing on what you lose. A-Euro if you don't A-Euro trademark T wear sunscreen, while Euro trademark LL have unattractive Skyna Euro. A-Euro trademark Keith and Jensen, 2011. Voss et al., 2018. Game-framed messages focusing on the advantages of healthy behavior, not smoking, exercising, wearing sunscreen, are more effective than those framed in terms of loss. Gallagher and Updegraff, 2012. The principle applies in other realms as well. A global climate change article that ends by discussing possible solutions is more persuasive than one describing future catastrophic consequences. Feinberg and Willer, 2011. Game messages are especially effective when they appeal to consumers on Euro trademark individual needs. For example, participants high in anxiety were most persuaded by a cell phone ad with the slogan A-Euro stay safe and secure with Dysphonia Euro. Hirsch et al., 2012. People who see ultraviolet filtered photographs showing skin damage caused by the sun are more likely to use sunscreen. Science photo library / newscom message context. The context of your message €, especially what immediately precedes it €, can make a big difference in how persuasive it is. In one study, an accomplice approached a passerby at a Polish train station and said, €, excuse me. Haven €, trademark T, you lost your wallet. €, everyone immediately checked their pockets or bags to find, to their relief, that their wallet was still in place. The accomplice then explained she was selling Christmas cards for a charity. Nearly 40% bought the cards, compared to only 10% who heard the appeal but had not felt the relief of still having their wallets. The researchers named this highly effective approach Fear Then Relief, Dolinsky and Zachuka, 2012. Foot in the door phenomena. The tendency for people who have first agreed to a small request to comply later with a larger request. Other persuasion techniques rely on the size of the request being made. Experiments suggest that if you want people to do a big favor for you, you should get them to do a small favor first. In the best-known demonstration of this foot in the door phenomenon, researchers posing as volunteers asked Californians to permit the installation of huge, poorly lettered €, where I drive carefully on euro signs in their front yards. Only 17% consented. Others were first approached with a small request, would they display 3-inch high €, the safe driver €, window signs? Nearly all readily agreed. When approached 2 weeks later to allow the large, ugly signs in their front yards, 76% consented. Friedman and Fraser, 1966. In this and many of the 100+ other foot in the door experiments, the initial compliance €, wearing a lapel pin, giving directions, signing a petition €, was voluntary. Berger and Quantigno, 2003. When people commit themselves to public behaviors and perceive those acts to be their own doing, they come to believe more strongly in what they have done. One study found this was true. Even when the request came from a robot instead of a person. Lee and Lang, 2019. Apparently, foot in the door works for birds, too. Lab pigeons were more likely to respond to a large request if it was preceded by a smaller one, an effect the researchers dubbed €, or claw in the door €. Martinasek and Colombo, 2020. Would you allow a campaign worker to put this large sign in your yard? Research suggests you on €, trademark D be more likely to do so if you had first been asked to display a small sign or window sticker. Aaron wrote photography. Social psychologist Robert Cialdini is a self-described €, a for as long as I can recall. €, trademark B, been an easy mark for the pitches of peddlers, fundraisers, and operators of one sort or another. €, to better understand why one person says yes to another, he spent 3 years as a trainee in sales, fundraising, and advertising organizations. Discovering how they exploit €, or weapons of influence €, he also put those weapons to the test in simple experiments. In one, Cialdini and his collaborators, 1978, explored a variation of the foot in the door phenomenon by experimenting with the lowball technique, Pasquale et al., 2016. After the customer agrees to buy a new car with a bargain price and begins completing the sales forms, the salesperson removes the price advantage by charging for options or by checking with the boss who disallows the deal. Folklore has it that more lowball customers now stick with the higher priced purchase than would have agreed to it at the outset. Airlines and hotels use the tactic by attracting inquiries with great deals available on only a few seats or rooms. Then, when those arena €, trademark T available, they hope the customer will agree to a higher priced option. Later experiments found that this works only if people verbally commit to their choice. Berger and Cornelius, 2003. Page 179. Lowball technique, a tactic for getting people to agree to something. People who agree to an initial request will often still comply when the requester ups the ante. People who receive only the costly request are less likely to comply with it. If a customer has already publicly committed by filling out the sales paperwork, they are more likely to agree to a higher price, an example of the lowball technique. Shutterstock marketing researchers and salespeople have found that the lowball technique works even when we are aware of a profit motive. Cialdini, 1988. A harmless initial commitment. €, returning a postcard for more information, and €, free gift. €, agreeing to listen to an investment possibility. €, often moves us toward a larger commitment. Because salespeople sometimes exploited the power of those small commitments by trying to hold people to purchase agreements, many states now have laws that allow customers a few days to think over their purchases and cancel. To counter the effect of these laws, many companies use what the sales training program of one company calls a a very important psychological aid in preventing customers from backing out of their contracts. Cialdini, 1988. P. 78. They simply have the customer, rather than the salesperson, fill out the agreement. Having written it themselves, people usually live up to their commitment. The foot in the door phenomenon is a lesson worth remembering. Someone trying to seduce us financially, politically, or sexually will often sneak their foot in the door to create a momentum of compliance. The practical lesson: before agreeing to a small request, think about what may follow. Door-in-the-face technique, a strategy for gaining a concession. After someone first turns down a large request, the door-in-the-face, the same requester counter-offers with a more reasonable request. And think, too, about what you might do next if you refuse a large request, known as the door-in-the-face technique. When Cialdini and his colleagues, 1975, asked some of their Arizona State University students to chaperone delinquent children on a zoo trip, only 32% agreed to do so. With other students, though, the questioner asked if the students would commit 2 years as volunteer counselors to delinquent children. All refused, the equivalent of shutting a door. In a sales persona trademark S-face. The questioner then counter-offered by asking if they would take the children on the zoo trip, saying, in effect, if you want a trademark to do that, would you do just this much? With this technique, nearly twice as many 56% agreed to help. Similarly, if students were first asked to participate in a long-term blood donor program and then to donate blood that day, they were more likely to comply than if they were simply asked to give blood. Gurigwin, 2014. Or consider finishing a meal in a restaurant when the server suggests dessert. When you say no, she offers coffee or tea. Customers first offered dessert were more likely to say yes to the next offer. Gurigwin et al., 2011. One-sided versus two-sided appeal. Supporters of my DMA trademark S community trademark S gay rights initiative faced a strategic question: should they acknowledge and seek to refute each of the opposition on trademark S arguments? Or would that likely backfire, by planting ideas that people would remember long after forgetting the discounting? Again, common sense offers no clear answer. Acknowledging the opposing arguments might confuse the audience and weaken the case. On the other hand, a message might seem fairer and be more disarming if it recognizes the opposition on trademark S arguments. Carol Werner and colleagues, 2002, showed the disarming power of a simple two-sided message. In an experiment on aluminum can recycling, signs added to waste baskets in a University of Utah classroom building said, for example, no aluminum cans please. Use the recycler located on the first floor, near the entrance. When a final persuasive message acknowledged and responded to the main counter-argument right. May be inconvenient, but it is important. Recycling reached 80%. Page 180. In simulated trials, a defense case becomes more credible when the defense brings up damaging evidence before the prosecution does. Williams et al., 1993. Thus, a political candidate speaking to a politically informed group, or a community group advocating for or against gay rights, would indeed be wise to respond to the opposition. So, if your audience will be exposed to opposing views, offer a two-sided appeal. Two-sided appeals have another advantage: they can make the communicator seem more honest. When a salesperson mentioned a negative attribute of a product that was unimportant to the customer trusted the salesperson more and became more likely to buy the product. Pizzotti et al., 2016. Primacy versus recency. Imagine you are participating in a debate. Are you more likely to win if you speak first or last? Primacy effect. Other things being equal, information presented first usually has the most influence. Most of the time, while Euro trademark LL want to go first, as there is a primacy effect, information presented early is most persuasive. First impressions are important. For example, can you sense a difference between these two descriptions? John is intelligent, industrious, impulsive, critical, stubborn, and envious. John is envious, stubborn, critical, impulsive, industrious, and intelligent. When Solomon Asch, 1946, gave these sentences to college students in New York City, those who read the adjectives in the intelligent to envious order rated the person more positively than did those given the envious to intelligent order. The earlier information seemed to color their interpretation of the later information, producing the primacy effect. Some other primacy effect examples: students who read positive TripAdvisor.com reviews of a hotel before the negative reviews like the hotel more than those who read the negative reviews first. Coker, 2012. In political polls and in primary election voting, candidates benefit from being listed first on the ballot. Moore, 2004b. Super Bowl. Viewers were more likely to remember brands when commercials advertising them were first in the block of commercials. Lee, 2010. Norman Miller and Donald Campbell, 1959, found that students who read a trial transcript with the plaintiff on Euro trademark S case presented first favored the plaintiff, and those who read the defendant tag Euro trademark S case first favored the defendant. Recency effect. Information presented last sometimes has the most influence. Recency effects are less common than primacy effects. What about the opposite possibility? Would our better memory of recent information ever create a recency effect? We have all experienced what the Book of Proverbs observed: a Euro at one who first states a case seems right, until the other comes and cross-examines a Euro. We know from our experience, as well as from memory experiments, that today a Euro trademark S events can temporarily outweigh significant past events. Today a Euro trademark S blizzard makes long-term global warming seem less a threat, just as today a Euro trademark S sweltering heat makes it seem more a threat. Would you stay in this hotel? Your decision might depend on whether you read the positive or negative online reviews first. Ivan Asta/Getty Images to test for a possible recency effect. Miller and Campbell gave another group of students either the plaintiff on Euro trademark S case or the defendant tag Euro trademark S case to read. A week later, the researchers had them read the other side of a Euro trademark S case and then immediately state their opinions. The results were the reverse of the other experiment, a Euro recency effect. Apparently, the first section of arguments had largely faded from memory in the ensuing week, a result replicated in more recent studies using court cases. Engel et al., 2020. Page 181. Forgetting creates the recency effect. 1. When enough time separates the two messages, and 2. When the audience commits itself soon after the second message. When the two messages are back to back, followed by a time gap, the primacy effect usually occurs. Figure 3. This is especially so when the first message stimulates thinking. Hochbit and Wagoner, 1994. Figure 3 primacy effect versus recency effect. When two persuasive messages are back to back and the audience then responds at some later time, the first message has the advantage, primacy effect. When the two messages are separated in time and the audience responds soon after the second message has the advantage, recency effect. Dana Carney and Mahzarin Banaji, 2008, discovered that order can also affect simple preferences. When encountering two people or products, people tend to prefer the first presented option. For example, when offered two similar-looking pieces of bubble gum, one placed after the other on a white clipboard, 62%, when asked to make a snap judgment, chose the first presented piece. Across 4 experiments, the findings were consistent. At first is best. In answer to the list of questions at the beginning of this section, the best advice for persuasion is the following: use logic or emotion, depending on the audience and the message. Ask a small favor before making a big request. Offer two-sided messages that challenge arguments against your message. Go first or last. Not in the middle. For best results. How is it said? The channel of communication. For persuasion, there must be communication. And for communication, there must be a channel, a face-to-face appeal, a written sign or document, a media advertisement. Channel of communication: the way the message is delivered. Whether face-to-face, in writing, on film, or in some other way. In 2020, the U.S. Democratic Party convention was immediately followed by the Republican Party convention, after which there was a 3-month time gap before the election. Given experiments on primacy and recency, which party would benefit most from this timing? Left Alex Kiko/Shutterstock, right Oliver Contreras/SIPA USA/Alamy Stock Photo. Page 182. Common Sense Psychology places faith in the power of written words. How do we try to get people to attend a campus event? We post notices. How do we get drivers to slow down and keep their eyes on the road? We put a drive carefully on messages on billboards. How do we discourage students from dropping trash on campus? We post anti-litter messages on campus bulletin boards. Active experience or passive reception. Are spoken appeals more persuasive? Not necessarily. Those of us who speak publicly, as teachers or persuaders, often become so enamored of our spoken words that we overestimate their power. Ask college students what aspect of their college experience has been most valuable or what they remember from their first year, and few, we are sad to say, recall the brilliant lectures that we faculty remember giving. Written and visual appeals are both passive and thus have similar hurdles to overcome. Many are relatively ineffective. For example, only 1 out of 1,000 online ads results in someone clicking on the link. Yet the ads do have an effect. When a website was advertised, traffic increased 65% over the week. Fulgoni and Boyarn, 2009. With such power, can the media help a wealthy political candidate by an election? In the United States, the candidate with more money wins 91% of the time. Winning candidates for Congress outspent their opponents 2-1. $2.3 million compared to $1.1 million. Lowry, 2014. Advertising exposure helps make an unfamiliar candidate into a familiar one. Mere exposure to unfamiliar stimuli breeds liking. Or if they just repeat attacks enough, and outright lies over and over again, people start believing it. Barack Obama, speaking at the University of Michigan, July 2016. Mere repetition can also make statements believable. Deshinetal, 2010. Dekirsmaker etal, 2020. Both adults and children are more likely to believe a statement they have heard twice instead of once. Fazio and Sherry, 2020. The more familiar and recognizable a statement is, the more likely people will come to believe. ETA Euro trademark S true even if it is not. Unkelvin ETAL, 2019. If people hear something enough, they often come to believe it. A euro, a principle used by advertisers and politicians alike. Researcher Hal Arks, 1990, called such findings a euro history. A euro, as political manipulators know, believable lies can displace hard truths. Repeated cliches can cover complex realities. In the political realm, even correct information may fail to discount implanted misinformation. Bullock, 2006, and Riefler, 2008. When, during the 2000 political realm, even correct information may fail to discount implanted misinformation. Bullock, 2006, and Riefler, 2008. When, during the 2016 presidential campaign, Donald Trump repeatedly claimed violent crime was increasing, media stories consistently rebutted his statements with FBI statistics showing crime had actually declined markedly since 2008. Nevertheless, 78% of Trump supporters continued to believe crime was increasing. Gromlich, 2016. Such politically biased information processing is bipartisan, report Peter Ditto and his colleagues, 2019. They found a euro or clear evidence of partisan bias in both liberals and conservatives, and at virtually identical levels a euro when evidence supports our views, we find it cogent. When the same evidence contradicts our views, we fault it. Overall, retractions of previously provided information rarely work. People tend to remember the original story, not the retraction. Ecker ETAL, 2011, Lewandowski ETAL, 2012. In the romantic comedy When Harry Met Sally, Harry says he euro trademark LL take back a statement that offended Sally. A euro I king a euro trademark T take it back a euro ETA euro trademark S already out there, a euro Sally replies. Courtroom lawyers understand this, which is why they will take the risk of saying something that might be retracted, knowing the jury will remember it anyway. If you want euro trademark retrying to counteract a falsehood, research suggests you should provide an alternative story to the euro trademark as simple a euro and repeat it several times. Ecker ETAL, 2011, Swartz ETAL, 2007. Mere repetition of a statement also serves to increase its fluency a euro the ease with which it spills off our tongue a euro which increases believability. McLone and Topivak share, 2000. Other factors, such as rhyming, further increase fluency and believability. A euro hast makes wasty a euro may say essentially the same thing as a euro erosion causes mistakes, a euro but it seems more true. Whatever makes for fluency, familiarity, rhyming, also makes for credibility. Because passively received. Appeals are sometimes effective and sometimes not. Can we specify in advance the issues most amenable to persuasion? There is a simple rule. The more familiar people are with an issue, the less persuadable they are. On minor issues, such as which brand of aspirin to buy, ETA euro trademark S easy to demonstrate the Mediana euro trademark S power. On more familiar and important issues, such as attitudes about a lengthy and controversial war, persuading people is like trying to push a piano uphill. It is not impossible, but one shove one a euro trademark T do it. Page 183 Active experience also strengthens attitudes. When we act, we amplify the idea behind what we euro trademark be done, especially when we feel responsible. In addition, attitudes more often endure and influence our behavior when rooted in our own experience. Compared with attitudes formed passively, experience-based attitudes are more confident, more stable, and less vulnerable to attack. The Euro trademark is one reason why so many companies now aim to advertise through consumer-generated ads, viral videos, Facebook pages, Twitter feeds, and online games. Consumers who have interactive experiences with brands and products are more engaged than those who merely see or hear advertisements. Wang et al. 2013. Someone who shares a viral video with others will remember the experience much longer than someone who saw the same video as a TV commercial. Interactive websites also seem to be more effective. In one study, Dutch students viewed one of two websites for the fictional company Happy Bev, one that simply displayed its corporate message and another that allowed users to comment on the message and then displayed those comments. Those who appreciated the interactivity of the comment-enabled site saw the company as more credible and identified with it more. Everly et al. 2013. Personal versus media influence persuasion studies demonstrate that the major influence on us is not the media but our contact with people. Modern selling strategies seek to harness the power of word-of-mouth personal influence through Euro marketing, Euro creating a buzz, Euro exceeding Euro sales. Walker, 2004. The Harry Potter series was not expected to be a bestseller. The first book in the series had a first printing of 500 copies. It was kids talking to other kids that made it so. You do realize, you will never make a fortune out of writing children Euro trademark S books? Euro J. K. Rowling got Euro trademark S literary agent before the release of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer Euro trademark S Stone. 1998. During the 2010 midterm elections, people who saw photos of their friends voting on Facebook were more likely to vote. Bond et al. 2012. In the 2012 election, campaign contacts such as knocking on doors and calling voters increased turnout by 7 to 8 percentage points in heavily targeted areas. Enos and Fowler, 2016. These strategies work in public health arenas as well. In Kenya, untreated tap water causes disease and death, especially among children. Yet few families treated their water until a non-profit organization enlisted one person in each community to rebuild the communal chlorine tank and teach everyone about the importance of treating their water. Koster, 2014. Personal contact persuades. In a field experiment, researchers tried to reduce the frequency of heart disease among middle-aged adults in 3 small California cities. To check the relative effectiveness of personal and media influence, they examined 1,200 participants before the project began and at the end of each of the following 3 years. Residents of Tracy, California, received no persuasive appeals other than those occurring in their regular media. In Gilroy, California, a 2-year multimedia campaign used TV, radio, newspapers, and direct mail to teach people about coronary risk and what they could do to reduce it. In Watsonville, California, this media campaign was supplemented by personal contacts with 2/3 of those participants whose blood pressure, weight, and age put them in a high-risk group. Using behavior modification principles, the researchers helped the Watsonville participants set specific goals and reinforced their successes. Farquhar et al. 1977, McAvey, 1980, McAvey and Alexander, 1980. Personal contact can increase voter turnout. Ariel Skelly/Blend Images LLC as Figure 4 shows, after 1, 2, and 3 years, the high-risk participants in Tracy, the control town, were at about as much at risk as before. High-risk participants in Gilroy, who were deluged with media appeals, improved their health habits and decreased their risk. Those in Watsonville, who received personal contacts as well as the media campaign, changed the most. results. What techniques might be effective for the important public health messages of the current time? Figure 4 percentage change from baseline, 0, in coronary risk after 1, 2, or 3 years of health education. Source, data from McObie, 1980. Two-step flow of communication, the process by which media influence often occurs through opinion leaders, who in turn influence others. Page 184. Media influence. The two-step flow. Although face-to-face influence is usually greater than media influence, we should not underestimate the media Euro trademark S power. Those who personally influence our opinions must get their ideas from some source, and often their sources are the media. Elliot Katz, 1957, observed that many of the media Euro trademark S effects operate in a two-step flow of communication, from media to opinion leaders to everyone else. In any large group, it is these opinion leaders and trendsetters a euro or at influential a euro that marketers and politicians seek to woo. Keller and Berry, 2003. Opinion leaders are individuals perceived as experts. They may include talk show hosts and editorial columnists, doctors, teachers, and scientists, and people in all walks of life who have made it their business to absorb information and to inform their friends and family. If I want to evaluate computer equipment, I defer to the opinions of my sons, who get many of their ideas from what they read online. Sell them and you will sell me. The two-step flow of information influences the drugs your doctor describes, reported a Stanford School of Business research team, NER et.al. 2008. Doctors look to opinion leaders within their social network a euro, often a university hospital-based specialist a euro, when deciding what drugs to favor. For more than 9 in 10 doctors, this influence comes through personal contact. The largest drug companies know that opinion leaders drive sales, and therefore, they target about 1/3 of their marketing dollars on these influential people. The two-step flow model reminds us that media influences penetrate the culture in subtle ways. Even if the media had little direct effect on people a euro trademark S attitudes, they could still have a major indirect effect. Those rare children who grow up without watching television do not grow up. Beyond television a euro trademark S influence. Unless they live as hermits, they will join in TV imitative play on the school ground. They will ask their parents for the TV-related toys their friends have. They will beg or demand to watch their friends a euro trademark favorite programs, and they will do so when visiting friends a euro trademark homes. Parents can just say no, but they cannot switch off television a euro trademark S influence. Comparing media, lumping together all media, from mass mailings to television to social networking, oversimplifies. Studies comparing different media find that the more lifelike the medium, the more persuasive its message. Thus, the order of persuasiveness seems to be live, face-to-face, video, audio, and written. If you want to persuade someone who disagrees with you, eat a euro trademark S. Better to speak than to write to them. Your voice humanizes you. Schroeder et.al. 2017. In this case, choose FaceTime, not texting. Page 185. However, messages are best comprehended and recalled when written. Comprehension is one of the first steps in the persuasion process. Recall figure 2. Shelley Chapin and Alice Eagley, 1976, reasoned that if a message is difficult to comprehend, persuasion should be greatest when the message is written, because readers will be able to work through the message at their own pace. They gave University of Massachusetts students easy or difficult messages in writing, as audio, or as video. Figure 5 displays their results. Difficult messages were indeed most persuasive when written, easy messages, when video. The TV medium takes control of the pacing of the message away from the recipients. By drawing attention to the communicator and away from the message itself, TV also encourages people to focus on peripheral cues, such as the Comunicatore Euro trademark S attractiveness, Chaikin and Eagling, 1983.